Just give me a moment. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Polecat 115 after show, which I have entitled aptly "Feminist Horseplay." Make of that what you will.
Oh God! I always knew feminists were degenerates.
Well, let's find out. I'll go through the story. Okay, so you can't make it up. Women protest patriarchy by pretending to be horses and galloping around the city. If any particular ideology will be able to take credit for the eventual demise of Western civilization, radical feminism will have as strong a case as any. Its more extreme adherents, like the ones who galloped around Stockholm, Sweden on Saturday pretending to be horses to protest the patriarchy, would no doubt be thrilled at the accomplishment. I wonder if there's going to be like a relationship between horse penises and the patriarchy. I can already see that. So, all right. Although when the patriarchy is dead, the world will be ruled by, well, unhot women who gallop around like horses. Hell, maybe that's what this crazy world deserves. Take a look at this madness and then ask yourself if the patriarchy is really so bad. Do you guys need the link? I will give you guys a link to the bonus story. I got to go into the... Let's see. Where's the
You
room?
got the show announcement up.
Yeah, I know. I didn't... the link is in the show announcements. I'm sorry. It's in the low bar. But I thought I will display this for the people watching live. But I want to make sure you guys can see it too. Where the hell is the... Which one of these things is the thing that you guys are supposed to be in? Is it
Admin live show?
No.
Chat, no.
Pole and Pussy After Show.
Yeah, there it goes. Chat, Pole, and Pussy After Show. Thank you, Tank of Doom. Okay, here's a link to the story, and then I'll go ahead and go back here. I'm going to play a bit of this video of women galloping through Sweden.
Sweden, yes.
They're kicking. They're running around like horses, flipping their hair, and kick. What is this? Oh God, this is so stupid. Yeah. That's activism. Now that's what I call activism. You guys can go ahead and watch the video while I keep talking.
Oh, that's what I call stupidity.
Darko's tweet, so someone named Darko Civic, sorry if I butchered it a little bit, he shared the 27-second video clip on Twitter, writing, "Swedish women are protesting the patriarchy by running around playing horses, looking like idiots." Darko's tweet was apparently just the rehearsal for the main event. The 7-kilometer rally, wherein participants gallop past several of the capital's horse statues, is meant to make some sort of point about the horse as a symbol of power. Kind of like a bull in Wall Street. Protest choreographer, yes, only a group of lady protesters... only a group of lady protesters, feminists or no, would have a fucking choreographer. Anna Kalabad said... "When you look at the city and the sculpture park we have, there are a few men on horses and other men. Most women who are naked and quite small." I think this is badly translated. So what she's saying is, in the sculpture park is mostly guys on horses, probably military figures and noblemen and influential people, and just men, which are probably also, again, politicians, military figures, royalty, whatever. And then, but the only times that you do see women, apparently they are naked and small, whatever the fuck that means. They may, well, I don't know much about. This is in Sweden, so I don't know what their sculptures are. But apparently, sculptures are sexist.
Well, clearly the women need to do more of the things that the men did for getting sculptures of themselves put up in these areas. So I'll bet the sculptures of women are just celebrations of femininity in general, and the sculptures are like they only have male sculptures up when a man actually did something to be memorialized. Because that's the way it is. It seems to be in parks in areas around where I live. you see a statue of a guy, it's almost always representing something of an achievement or a sacrifice or some great action. And a lot of times you see a statue of a woman, it's either a representation of an iconic thing like the statue of Justice or the statue of Aphrodite that represents love, but or it's a celebration of feminine beauty.
Yeah,
Seems
exactly.
to me that these guys are upset that women get celebrated for being women, but men have to do something if they want to get celebrated at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Aphrodite triggers feminists.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
I actually read an entire article once, it's been a long time ago, on some woman saying that the myth of Aphrodite becoming a virgin again after a bath was intended to say that female sexuality was a dirty thing and she had to wash it off of herself.
Oh my fuck.
It's like all about women being able to remake themselves and being able to define themselves and be what they thought of themselves, and they turned it into something dirty and low.
Cinnamon Chimera in the comments section said, so then why can't they ride actual horses through the square? Well, I have the answer to this question. Emma Solkowitz already explained this to us. You see, when it comes to performance art, it's the only kind of art women can do because they're so incredibly poor. So they have to do it because they're so disadvantaged and so oppressed, and they have no money, and they can't afford to even borrow a horse or rent one, or hell, have another woman dress up like one, or get one of those hobby horse things where it's like a stick with a horse head on top. They can't do any of that because that's expensive. And it's too expensive for women. So performance artists have to work with like no budget. It's the only way, because it is the tool. It's the only tool that the oppressed have to fight against the establishment. So these
guys can't use real horses because it's already been done, and none of them have long enough hair to do a repeat of the original. So they would just be naked.
Mr. 303 wanted to say something.
I do notice looking at this though. Some of these women in this video. This appears to probably be the only exercise they've gotten in the last year.
Okay, Mr. 303, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, did she just assume the gender of the statues?
That she did.
She did, didn't she? Oh, that was probably not a good idea. Not all statues. Okay, so Kalbad, an artist, they have an artist too. Men surrender now. Helena Bystrom want to start a debate about public space. No, you don't. Oh my god. What is it with feminists saying they do this outrageous shit? And when you ask them why, they say, I'm trying to start a conversation. No, you're not.
It's a social experiment, bro.
They're trying to make a statement. And they're definitely not trying to start a conversation or a debate about public space, because what they're basically saying is that if you do public space and you don't do it our way, then it's bad. It takes it away from being public space and makes it all feminist space.
Oh my god. Okay. I've made temporary things in the city place. This is, I don't know if this is just like her English is terrible or if this is just badly translated. I've made temporary things in the city place where people years later have said that every time I walk past this place, I think of this happening and have it with me. What? Bystrom said, we need a balance. We need a counterweight to all the great hordes of men who take the city in different ways. This is an option. Hordes of men who take the city in different ways. Hordes of men. Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say the raping.
Although, I wonder... Actions. Well, somebody makes an interesting point. So this person says, the person who wrote this article writes, hordes of men taking the city. Yeah, they're probably not talking about this. And he has photos, because remember, we're talking about Sweden. Sweden! Did you guys hear about what's happening in Sweden? Sweden! They got all kinds of problems. It's terrible. And so there are photos of what appear to be migrants burning things down and, wrecking shit. Hordes of men. Or this. And there's more. It's essentially a bunch of photos of migrants marching in Sweden. The main thing is that go ahead.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, do you think this is going to be like Gears of War, the Locust Horde?
I don't know. I don't think feminists are interested in that horde. They are the Borg.
Well, the creatures are ugly like them, so...
Yeah, that's true. The main thing that patriarchy sucks unless the adherents... Oh, okay, let me read this again. Sorry. The main thing is that patriarchy sucks unless the adherents are brown people. The gallop was set to start and finish at Stockholm's House of Dance in the Railway Square. Participants passed the Royal Palace, the Royal Garden, Gustav Adolf Square, and Humbelgarden. Of course, there was a lot to make fun of on this one, and lots of Twitter users took advantage. So, I mean, I'm not sure that... I mean, I understand the problems in Sweden with the migrant crisis, and I think that that is a real problem, but I don't think that's a really good counter-argument, because, yes, feminism will ignore that because it doesn't serve ultimately what they want, which is essentially to tear down the system built by straight, cis, white, Western men. That's what they don't have a problem with Islam, at least not right now, because the enemy of my enemy. But
well, they want to control people.
No, well, yeah, feminism wants to control. They that's exactly right. And and Islam is basically it's a means to an end for them. Although they may not realize that if they allow this sort of, radical Islam and Islam that's sympathetic to radical Islam, if they allow it to take over the West, it's going to come after them too. So, but that's what happens when you're not thinking in the long term, which is what a lot of times feminists are not doing. They usually act in the right now. So
actually, it might be something that they can exploit to their own ends, as long as they are willing to live by the restrictions of the religion themselves. They won't have a problem. And in fact, that's been demonstrated. I can't remember what it's called, but ISIS has an all-female police force that enforces Sharia law on other women. And
it's their morality police.
Right, and some of them are very big and strong, like they're man-sized women, and they basically look like men. And then there are other instances in other countries, or not other countries, but in actual countries, where they've have police forces that include female officers whose job it is to look under the facial part of the burqa to make sure that the person wearing it is female, because male refugees will disguise themselves as women to get the benefits that women have that men don't, under like how they treat the refugees and so on. There's been other instances like that where they would be challenged going into a particular area if they were male, but they put on a burqa and they pretend to be female, and you can't tell that it's a man under there unless you look. But if you're a man, you can't look, because then you are causing guilt, for the woman. Obviously, if she's supposed to be covered and you uncover her, that's a crime against her. But so there's female forces that are the religious police for other women. This would be a tool for feminists, the ultimate tool, actually, to have control over men and other women. And it contains everything in feminism that they've been hitting the West with only a percentage of the success they want. It demonizes male sexuality. It treats female sexuality as a commodity that must be protected and preserved. It treats women as incapable, as feminism treats women as chattel way more than they would be able to claim that in our history women were treated that way. And it treats them as chattel in a way that's very similar to the way these extreme religious outlooks do, where the woman's activities and behaviors are not the woman's choice, but the choice of the ideology, the choice of the belief system. And so, I would say, as long as they don't have any objection to covering up, to having to have a bodyguard with them wherever they go, to being protected based on the accusation that men are animals that cannot resist any opportunity at sex. And as long as they don't have an objection to that, and since that's their narrative, they're not going to object to this. They're gonna look to control it.
One of the other funny tweets that was in response to this, so there was some humor that came out of this. Somebody made a tweet saying, Swedish women are protesting the patriarchy by running around playing horses, looking like idiots. And someone responded saying, but Sweden is the world's most prominent matriarchy. What the hell is this protest about? And then another guy named William Bergquist said nothing, simply posted a GIF of King Arthur from Monty Python and the Holy Grail riding around on his horse with his serf with his coconuts behind him. And then Alexis Bell tweeted, this is what happens when you mix My Little Pony, Marxism, and third wave feminism. Good luck, Sweden. You're going to need it. Ironic Black Flag writes, these people are insane. Horses have been protesting like this for years, and they're still treated the same. What?
You forgot to enlist the show.
All right, give me a second. I'll enlist the show now.
I actually have one for this. First of all, the statement in the story, the main thing is that patriarchy sucks unless the adherents are brown people. Okay, well, if the patriarchy sucks, does it also swallow? Because if it swallows, that's misogynistic because it excludes women. Of course, my other question is, did any of these women show up to this protest with dates, or did they all go stag?
Oh.
I know, I couldn't say stallion, so I had to say stag.
Okay, Stephanie writes, once again, embarrassed to be a woman. Blushy face. Anton Lundgren writes, quit horsing around. Why the long faces? And then Sam writes, give it a year or two. This is what the American #resist will look like. Yeah,
oh, God.
I could see that. I could see that. First the pussy hats, then the miming horses on the street.
I think I've been muted this whole time, haven't I?
Yeah, you haven't said anything.
Fuck me. Oh well.
Okay. Did you want to say something now? Because we're at the end.
I mean, everybody got it. You know, you've all covered the bases fairly succinctly.
Oh, okay. Well, let me look at the comment section, because sometimes you can find some really golden shit down here. So, Joe Veig Sr. wrote, "This isn't real, folks. They heard that the Muslims that are infesting their country won't rape horses." But they're wrong. But they're wrong.
That's not true.
Well, that's what he says. He says, but they're wrong. They love raping horses, especially two-legged ones.
No. Speaking of that, this is serious. Some of us caught them fucking donkeys and goats. No shit. They actually do that shit.
No, we know.
They do that. Trust me. I've been there.
Okay. Steve Butler writes, university does wonders. By the way, university in Sweden is free. That's what free university does, I guess.
Yeah, that's what free university leads to, apparently. Great.
Ernst Hall, Sandra Letham. What idiots. Please, guys, don't think all women are this crazy. Sweden lost its mind a while ago. Embarrassed to be part of Sweden.
Just remember, feminism is not women, feminism does not own women, and feminism is not the arbiter of women's rights or women's interests.
It's not women, it's feminism. It's its own monster. It's its own animal.
It's a political lobbying effort. That's all it is.
Keith Bowden. But why, though? That's the Socratic method, just wrapped up into one simple statement. Why, though? Josh Lamb, the whole world has lost its mind.
Same, dude.
No, just some women in Sweden, and
Yeah, it's not really that many women, to be honest, but but they do appear to be pretty young. So somebody gave them the idea that galloping around downtown Stockholm was like the way to go, like the right thing. I wanted to make change. Well, can you impersonate a horse?
Right.
Because we're about to fix things. We're about to make some change.
so I wanted to
maybe I will
make
say
change.
something.
So I asked my husband for $1, and I gave him back 4 quarters. Instant change.
There you go. Maybe I will say something, though. It's just, I think that when you look at what's going on currently in Sweden and places around Sweden, and somebody had brought this up about the,
Migrant crisis.
When you're talking, the migrant crisis thing.
Mhm.
It's like, there are pressing matters that are occurring around that probably demand more attention than this. And this just seems like, okay, forgive me for using this terminology, but this just seems like some bullshit white privilege, people with a lot of fucking money that don't have a lot of fucking else to do, don't have much else going on, just trying to create problems to fucking solve because they're so fucking bored.
Well, they did get a choreographer and an artist to help them.
That's what I'm saying.
Put all of this together.
Precisely. Like, to me, this just seems like a bunch of superfluous bullshit. I mean, well, because it is, but like, I don't know. Whatever. I fucking. What do I know? I'm just a dumb cis-het white
I hear
male.
you. Main Gun 07 wrote, "Can you imagine how the meeting proposing this idea must have went? A room full of people thinking this is a good idea. This doesn't even need to be a joke. You don't even have to write it. People are like, so we need to make change. I'm tired of seeing all these men on horses downtown. It bothers me. I can't sleep at night. I'm like up, late thinking, why is it all men? Who are these men? I don't know these guys. I don't do history, but I know I feel excluded. What can we do about this? How do we change it? I know.
I've got a great idea.
This'll
You know what
do
this
it.
actually makes me think of is have you ever been in a group of kids that are all, except for one kid, all the same age, doing an activity that's like at least partly a brain activity? So you're playing a game and it has a set of rules and everybody's doing the same kind of thing in relation to that game, and maybe you're all teenagers, and the 5-year-old that's with you almost but doesn't quite get what you're doing and pipes up with when it's their turn with something that is, you can tell they're really, really trying to do the same thing as everybody else. And since they're 5, you pat them, good job, pat them on the head, hey, all right, that's a good one. And then you go on with the rest of the group, and you never tell them that they don't get it unless you can actually teach them how to do it. And if 5 years old is too young to understand it, you just include them. This is the kind of thing that adults do when people don't stop treating them that way, even when they get old enough that you could explain that to them. This isn't that, you're not getting it. Here's what it is, and you don't, because you can't hurt their feelings. That's just what that made me think of. The 5-year-old that doesn't get it, and nobody ever explained to him, no, that's the basic rules, but you have to do this too. It's supposed to be funny, or it's supposed to be about people, or stuff like that.
This protest takes NAG to an all new level.
I actually think
Whoa, Nelly!
I actually think that this is more insidious and clever. I think those feminists are trying to redefine the Stockholm syndrome.
God, you're all doing it. You're all terrible people. So stop.
They were going to protest louder, but they couldn't because they were all a little hoarse.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh boy.
And look, they're all wearing sensible shoes.
I mean, when I looked at it, it looked like I thought it was a herd of cattle, but apparently it is horses. So, but I had to be told that.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
No, I don't either. I mean, well, and I'm glad, because I think if I got it, I might actually sympathize with it. So, no, I'm good. Keep
It's
those,
just funny that they were begging to be taken seriously doing shit like this.
Exactly. It's how to delegitimize your movement in one action. Just like, it's a free action too. It's not even a move equivalent action. It's just a free action. You just do that. I don't know. Hey, yeah, that's all I got to say about it. I just think it's funny and kind of ridiculous. So, how long have we been doing this? I think we can talk about another story briefly if I can find something.
Well, I'm gonna dip out because I
Well,
got some
here's
stuff I gotta
one.
take care of.
Okay, Scott. Thanks.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right.
I will break
Right.
you.
This would never fly if Hillary had won. Kathy Griffin comes under
Oh,
fire after posting image
yes,
of
yes.
President Trump's severed head with Chelsea Clinton.
Yeah, let me
One of the
let me
first
look
to
that one
lash
up.
out at the comedian.
Uh,
I gotta kudos to Chelsea Clinton for not tolerating this just because it's the other side.
Yeah, I'll put that one up. It's the is it in here? No, there's no photos.
Well, I've got
of the...
a
Oh yeah, here it
Daily
goes.
Mail link.
I got USA Today. I'll just drop that.
Okay,
so
that'll
it
be good.
doesn't
That'll be
matter.
better.
Yeah. Social media reacts to Kathy Griffin's decapitated Trump photos. A photo shoot with a prop made to look like a decapitated head of President Trump. Art or evil? Comedian Kathy Griffin. She's a comedian? I didn't know that she was supposed to be funny.
Yeah, she's supposed to be a comedian.
Oh, okay. Who's...
You know, like Amy Schumer, you know?
Oh. No, you know what, though? It got us... We're talking about it right now. And this is
Yeah.
somebody who I didn't give a fuck about, but now here we are.
This
talking
is what
about
it
So I
takes,
guess it
isn't
worked.
it?
Yeah, it is what it takes. Comedian Kathy Griffin, who starred in a photo with a bloody Trump look-alike head on Tuesday, would say it's the former, as in it's art. However, an overwhelming number of journalists and personalities across the political spectrum are saying the latter about the comedian's photo shoot with Tyler Shields, which Griffin says is merely mocking the mocker-in-chief. Kathy Griffin beheads Trump in a photo many call unacceptable and tasteless. Some other words used to describe the image with Griffin, vile and wrong, as Chelsea Clinton tweeted. Chelsea Clinton, her tweet, this is vile and wrong. It is never funny to joke about killing a president. Well, holy shit, Chelsea Clinton. I hope that you don't disappear suddenly as a result of standing up for Trump.
I think Chelsea Clinton this is doing for her own sake because she wants to, run eventually.
Yeah, she wants to run.
And she doesn't want to be beheaded at some point.
Yeah.
Well, she's also the daughter of a former president and the daughter of a failed presidential candidate. So, I mean, if anybody was going to get it from the other side, it takes being the child of a president and a presidential candidate, even if she didn't make it.
No, you're right. I mean, I think that everything that this woman does is going to be, I think, part of essentially an attempt to secure her future. So,
Yeah.
of course, this would be the smart thing to do. Especially because you know how many people voted for Trump, right? So if you want those votes, you're going to have to pander. Horrible, tweeted Peter Dow, a former advisor to Hillary Clinton. The Kathy Griffin thing is upsetting and disgusting.
And graphic.
It's pretty graphic, yeah. I'm all for artistic and comedic expression, but I just saw the violent Trump imagery in hashtag Kathy Griffin's photo, and I find it horrible. Evan Siegfried, I don't know who that is, but he says, what Kathy Griffin has done here is shocking and wrong. It's behavior that should be condemned by all. Others had more than just negative adjectives for the gory imagery. Columnist John Podhoretz compared the photo to the tragic murder of reporter Daniel Pearl, who was killed by a radical Islam group in Pakistan, and others compared Griffin and her graphic photo to ISIS. John Podhoretz, I guess that's how you say it. I wonder how Judea Pearl would feel about this. Because this actually happened to his son, Kathy Griffin. His son. Then I think that's wrong. There were, however, a few on Twitter who didn't condemn Griffin outright. Remember, they argued when then-President Obama was depicted as a lynched mannequin? The answer to that inquiry, according to a number of people on Twitter, including vlogger Mark Dice, is it's false equivalency to compare an unknown hick in a podunk town who hung an Obama effigy to a CNN employee, Kathy Griffin, beheading Trump.
So in other words, if somebody engages in reprehensible behavior, if they are part of the elitist popularity hierarchy, then it's all right. If they're an entertainer, or if they are somebody that people pay to look at, in other words, that's okay then. Go ahead and do something reprehensible. It's only reprehensible when a filthy commoner does it. I mean, how disgusting of an opinion can one express?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's what... Well, Mark Dice, he was arguing the opposite. I think he's saying that, unknown hick in a podunk town who hung up an Obama effigy, we don't, there is a difference between that and Kathy Griffin, somebody that everyone knows doing it. And of course, the counter argument is the one that you were arguing against just now, where basically people on her side are saying, no, it's the same, or it should be okay because this unknown hick did it, and of course nobody was okay with that.
Yeah, no, it's not okay. Being an unknown hick shouldn't hold you to a lower standard either.
No, of course
There is
not.
a certain standard that nobody should fall below.
Yeah. That begs the question that many on social media had. What is CNN going to do about Griffin, who's co-hosted the network's New Year's Eve show with Anderson Cooper? I mean, CNN is probably okay with it, but they may have to do something. Otherwise, the fact that they're, fake news is going to essentially be on everyone's minds. So, Todd Starnes says, "Hey, at CNN, will Kathy Griffin be hosting your New Year's Eve show again? Your advertisers would like to know." Joe Concha of Joe Concha TV, I don't know who that is, he says, "If you're CNN, you announce immediately that Kathy Griffin will no longer be hosting the New Year's Eve special right now without hesitation." And Ben Shapiro, "So, is CNN going to have Kathy Griffin host New Year's again?" That's my Ben Shapiro. It's the best I can do. Nick Short, "Hey, at CNN, do you condone Kathy Griffin's views? Will she be hosting New Year's Eve live again?" The network hasn't made a statement, but CNN anchor Jake Tapper has called the imagery disgusting and inappropriate. He moderated a panel on CNN that shared the opinion that, quote, "We have much bigger issues to focus on than Kathy Griffin." Jake Tapper, "For those asking, I said on air that I thought this beheading imagery by Griffin about the president was disgusting and inappropriate." That's the end of the article. I will say that I don't like the idea that people would pressure companies to fire people, because I didn't like it when it happened to people on the right or people who didn't support leftist views, and I also don't like it the other way either. I do think that if advertisers know that she's going to be on, they should have the ability to choose whether or not they want to sponsor, but I'm a bit... I don't really like the idea of using pressure to ruin someone's life because they made their opinion known, even if it is a really stupid opinion that I don't appreciate. And silence. Hannah, are you trying to talk?
I think that
okay.
I think that standard, the drawing a line between trying to get people fired versus upholding a standard for behavior by criticizing the behavior, that is definitely a good line to draw. You don't necessarily try to get somebody fired for some, but it's in terms of entertainment. I don't object to people saying, "I don't want to watch this person. I don't think she's funny anymore because she did this. This is going to taint my view of her." And I think I don't think it would be wrong for advertisers to react to that either. And this is a situation where we're not just talking about a political, if she came out and said, "I think Trump's policy sucks," then nobody should be objecting to her right or ability to say that. They might say, "I think you're wrong and here's why," and even if she didn't have a here's why, it still would be better to say, "I think you're wrong and here's why." But this situation, this is just absolutely abhorrent behavior. And to be honest, it matters partly specifically because the person she did it to is the president. And it is, for instance, considered, you can't threaten to kill, even in jest, you cannot threaten to kill the president. And although this is something that is not a direct threat, you can't even hint at threatening to kill the president without putting yourself on a list. And it's not wrong for people to distance themselves from that. And it's not wrong for people to be heavily critical of that. And it's not wrong for people to say, if you don't distance yourself from this, I will distance myself from you. Because that's a much more serious act than just mocking and ridiculing someone you disagree with. It's actually, it borders on treasonous.
Yeah.
And, it's much more serious. That said, it's her choice. And the consequences of that choice are on her. She wants to use her freedom of speech to express this degree of disrespect and hate and let everybody know who and what she is. That's her business. And if she loses work because of it, that's her fault. And it's, even if people object and protest and loudly say, she just ruined every future performance she could ever be in for me because she did this, that's not their fault if she loses work, because that's her fault.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I take everything you say. I think that's good points. Fuck, it's just it's crazy. This is why, like I get a lot of shit online when I'm on social media, and I'm always criticizing the shit the left is doing. And it's like they're always saying, "Hey man, why are you always criticizing the left? Why are you always going after them?" And I'm like, I show them an article like this. I say, "Well, look, why is this okay? If it's like your party, okay?" And I'm not saying it's not. It used to be my party. I used to be, that kind of person. But I'm not on the right either now. But I'm certainly not on the left anymore because I see the problems there. But if it's your own party, why is it so many people in the left cannot look at the left and say, what is wrong with this party? What is wrong with this group of people? And they don't see that this is like, there's a lot of fucked up shit in here. You have to be able to criticize your side when they fuck up. And I don't understand that this so often doesn't happen. And I'm not excluding them, but I think that it's something that needs to have attention drawn to it, because I have a lot of friends in my circles that this is, their politics, and they constantly ignore this side, or they don't know it exists. I think it's more a denial thing than anything else. And it's like, dude, your side's never going to improve if you're not willing to criticize it. I think this is one of the ways in which the right has risen, because they have been defeated, and they've been criticized, and they've been lambasted, and they've been satirized, and everything. And essentially, they have licked their wounds, made some changes, and they're coming back in a big way, partly because of the defeat. It's like they could thank you for essentially sharpening their tools to make so that they become stronger. But this complacency on the left is why we have this shit. And I don't want that. I want both and more to be stronger in terms of their ability to make arguments and try to find the truth and what the best way to do things is, which is what I think most people want. But you have to be willing to criticize your side. And I don't see that. I see tribalism. I see party before principle. I see a lot of people defending other people's atrocious behavior because they don't want their side to look bad. And I'm sorry, but that's just not acceptable to me. So
healthy competition in the arena of ideas.
Yes, exactly.
Is what we really need.
Yes,
the most.
because we need to do that, because what's going to happen is the right's going to start making bad ideas, and they're going to start having really bad counter arguments, and the left's not going to be equipped to fight them because they haven't strengthened their own ideas. And so this conversation has to keep going, and it has to remain a struggle until we, as we move forward, and we need both sides to be sharp. But right now, the left is insane. They're insane.
That's already actually happened.
Yeah.
You look at the Tea Party, for instance. The Tea Party was a segment of the right that was critical of the establishment right, that has become closer and closer to the left, the authoritarian left. So the Tea Party is basically the libertarian right that is critical of the authoritarian right. And all the left had was to call them racist. Like, a significant portion of the Tea Party is black, and yet they called it an anti-black movement. And they tried to forward that. They tried to do things like infiltrating Tea Party events and start violence against, people within the event to try to get film of them attacking black people. And it was nuts. There were people I knew in my area that were involved in events where they had people trying to infiltrate their events, and they had people bring in signs that everybody else there thought was inappropriate and said, that's not what we're about, and get that out of here, and things like that. And that's the only thing they had. That's all they had, because they couldn't look at what the people in the Tea Party stood for. Like, my area, there's a lot of black people that were in the Tea Party that were there because they were really fed up about over the way they were exploited as a people, as a demographic by the Democrat Party, while all of the things the Democrat Party had said, this is going to solve your poverty problem, all of those things had instead escalated it. And they were just completely ignored by the media. Media had a choice, or a chance to bring these people forward and say, hey, here's a group you should be listening to. But because they were an arm or a branch or an apple from the tree of the Republican Party, they didn't want them. And they didn't want to acknowledge that they were part of that group because it wouldn't fit their narrative. And they couldn't debate the group's ideas because they didn't bother to try to understand them. They might have even been good ideas. They might have even had a good lookout on things. But how would the left know? They never bothered to learn about them. And instead, they turned around and followed that stupid narrative. And, there needs to be a Tea Party of the left. It doesn't have to be called the Tea Party, because we already know they're just going to call them teabaggers.
Yeah.
But there needs to be the classic liberal, the libertarian left needs to stand up to the authoritarian left and say, fuck you, we're out, we're going home, screw you guys. And move out of the party and move away from the party's platform and actually start up their own effort and run their own candidates. Forget the left, the unified left. Do what you think is right, not what you think everybody else is doing.
Yeah. I think that's starting. You see it online. It's like a rising thing. But yeah, it needs to be consistent. Mr. 303, go ahead.
So was this beheading thing supposed to be a joke or a comedy sketch?
Well, don't beheadings are hilarious.
It was just
what was it intended as a comedy sketch?
She says it's intended to be art. That's what she said. And it was just a photo. It wasn't a like a sketch or something that was acted out. It was just something that she tweeted out, a photo of herself holding the head. So,
this is the formula, guys. You can do anything you want. It can be as ridiculous or stupid or reprehensible or even even borderline illegal as you want. As long as you say it's art, yeah, you can get away with it. As long as you say it's art, then that makes everything okay.
Yep. I think I'm beginning to see why the kind of the progressives like Islam. They just think they're modern artists.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
Hey, Brian.
Yes. What did I
Good
not
job.
do? Oh, thank you.
No, good job. Good. What? Well, I do usually say that, don't I? But it's only because there are things that need to be done.
Yeah.
In the many things that stream.
Well,
as it were.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up now.
Okay. Yes.
So I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for joining us on the after show. Don't be afraid to leave a comment even on the after show things. I look at those. So, but yeah, we'll see you guys on the next after show and hopefully the next show very soon. Thanks again.